Hi everybody! Hope everybody's having a really good week so far. First, just a quick note, there might be a lot of background noise in this video today. Apparently, the people who own the property have decided now's the perfect time to mow absolutely everywhere. It's been going on for like an hour now so far, so really sorry for any distracting background noises. I'm going to try to edit this though so that you can mostly just hear my voice coming across. So for now, I want to keep the conversation going in the direction of some bigger tools that you might be able to use to help work on your mental health. In some later videos, I will be talking a bit more about the specifics of certain mental health issues, as well as some smaller coping mechanisms that you might be able to use. But I really wanted to get the bigger, more popular ones out of the way. That way, if you guys are thinking that you might want to try some of these, you have this as a resource and kind of a first-hand experience as to how some of these might work. So, this week's topic is going to be another form of therapy called interpersonal therapy. So like I said, interpersonal therapy is another form of talk therapy, much like CBT. It's worked around the premise that our personal relationships have a really deep connection with our psychological well-being, which really makes sense when you think about it, because humans are designed to be really social creatures. We've always kind of stayed in our tribe and always had these really close bonds with each other. It takes a look at your significant personal relationships and then works on ways that you can strengthen those bonds so that if you ever have a time of personal, emotional, or mental distress, you're able to call on those relationships. It can be used to treat most mental health issues, but has been shown to have very positive outcomes in patients who have been treated for conditions such as bipolar disorder, bulimia, postpartum depression, in family talk therapy type situations, major depressive disorder, and also cyclorhythmia. Most often, IPT would be used as an addition to your medication. Because IPT works on helping to build social support networks, it's generally done as a short-term series of sessions. The average number that a patient usually will receive is between 12 and 16. During these sessions, you would talk to a psychologist or a psychiatrist about the things that are happening in your life, most often focused on the present, the stuff that's happening now, and how you used other people as supports for these situations. I always knew that I was at risk of having postpartum depression, having gone through so many issues with my mental health in the past, and when things started getting really bad for me again, about 2 months after Taya was born, I was referred to Ottawa's perinatal mental health program. The perinatal mental health program is a free program offered at the Ottawa Hospital that follows mothers throughout their pregnancy, as well as for the first year after the baby is born, and helps to work out with any mental health challenges that becoming a mother can bring on. As a side note, it seems Taya has found my hiding place, so I also apologize if you hear any crying in the background. She'll be okay. She's got her dad with her, she misses her mama. This type of program is also offered at other hospitals in other cities throughout the whole country. I've been doing a lot of research lately into where they're all offered, so if you ever are looking for one, just send me a message and I'll try to kind of help you navigate and see if you can find something that's similar. In the program, you work really closely with a psychiatrist who will monitor any medications that you're on and also will refer you to whatever other groups that you need to be in to help secure your mental well-being. So I was referred to the IPT group that was being run a few weeks after my first appointment. Our group met weekly at the hospital for about 2.5 hours, and there would typically be 6 mothers, and each mother brought their baby with them to the sessions. We would sit on the ground in a nice big circle, and there'd be baby toys between us, and we would just get to talk about what's going on in our lives while the babies just had fun playing along. We were also overseen by a psychologist as well as two psychiatry residents at a time. ITP and CBT are actually the only two types of therapies that it's now mandated in Ontario that anybody going through for a degree in mental health or psychology has to do these kind of therapy rotations, just showing how popular they are and how widespread and helpful they can be. So during the rotations, each mother would get 16 sessions, but we wouldn't start and stop all at the same time. It was kind of done in a circular motion. This meant that a lot of different mothers were able to take part of this opportunity and benefit, as well as be able to meet a whole wide range of other mothers throughout the time that they're in this group. So I'll admit that the first couple of weeks that I went to this group therapy, it felt really awkward, and I found it really hard to actually take the step to speak out about what I need. Taya was around 5 months old at that time and pretty much just stayed cuddled in my lap while all of the other babies crawled around and played. And I didn't really notice any significant changes or improvement for the first few weeks at least. But eventually, I kind of found my voice and was able to speak out about the situations in my life that were making me nervous. One of the first things that I opened up and talked about was about my family Christmas party for this last year. It was coming up to being around time for it, and I was feeling really anxious as there were a lot of people who were going to be there. I wasn't used to doing all the preparations and having a baby around, and I also just wasn't really feeling super festive and felt like I would kind of just be a downer on everybody anyway. Now, at this point, Derek was in school full-time, so he didn't do as much of the work with Taya, and I was really anxious about needing to do all of this stuff and still somehow take care of a baby. One of the ladies at the group suggested that maybe Derek does want to help me out more, but he just doesn't know how. Because with my issues with OCD, I can be very particular with things. She suggested that I bring this conversation up with Derek, and sure enough, I was able to summon the courage to talk to him. And he said, yeah, that actually is what's going on right now. I just don't know how exactly I can help you. I was able to kind of summon up that little bit of courage to tell him exactly how he could help me by taking care of the baby while I did the rest of the work. And he responded really, really positively. The next week that we were in group, we sat down and we talked about how I had approached this conversation with Derek and how getting that positive response really made me feel better and feel more like I was able to ask for the help that I need. Like any kind of therapy, IPT does take a lot of work and commitment. At one point, the psychologist pointed out that I seemed really hesitant to reach out to the group and ask for help on things or tell them what I need. And for the next few weeks, I was tasked with trying to speak up a bit more and actually ask for the help. Once I was able to do that, we talked about one of my fears, which was taking Taya to a play group. I had had a negative experience when she was only 3 months old and literally didn't go to another play group for like 5 months. So I got homework that next week, and it was to try to go to playgroup, and we'll talk about how it goes in our next session. Pretty much every week we would get some sort of homework like that, and then during the next session we'd sit down as a group and we'd discuss how it went, or if it didn't work out, we'd discuss what kind of held us back. As all of you know, because we're all here to work on our mental health issues, one of the biggest things that mental health can affect is our personal relationships. I had spent many years of my life systematically destroying every relationship that I had during the worst times of my life. And even now, when my anxiety goes up, or I get particularly depressed, or I'm feeling compulsions, I tend to get really defensive and try to push people away as much as possible. So it really, really helped to have this safe place that I'd be able to go to and talk to other people about whatever way I was trying to push people away or whatever way I was trying to mess up my personal relationships without meaning to. And get some really good building blocks as to how to help stop that pattern. It was absolutely one of the best things that I've ever done for myself and for my health. I've also found since doing this interpersonal group, another benefit is that there seems to be a much stronger relationship between me and my husband. Him and I had both kind of been stuck in a rut, and we both kind of tend to push. So there is some times where we're not really existing together as healthy. But with the changes that the IBT group was able to help me make in how I interacted with him, and in the ways that he took the information I was giving him and reworked how he was interacting with me, it really helped us start to work together as a functional family and really enjoying the time that we're having together and with our daughter. So if you are a new mother, or at very least if you have a new baby around, and you find that you're struggling a lot with postpartum depression, I highly recommend taking a look and seeing if there are any perinatal mental health programs in your city. From there, I would definitely try to get into an IPT group because the amount that it can help you just create those bonds, whether it's the bond with your husband again or the bond with the baby, it really, really helps to build a nice, solid foundation. The first place that you can check is with your family doctor and ask him or her if they know of any places that you can look into. But also try to call around to different hospitals and see if they have any programs that are kind of similar to what I've talked about here. It really, really helps to put our situations into perspective and then get advice that will not only help with any current situations, but also teaches you some good building blocks as to how to deal with situations in the future. So that's it for this video. I hope that I was able to give you some really good information and maybe some ideas on some things that you could use to help you in your journey. So far, we've talked about medication, CBT, and IPT, and in the future, we're going to talk about a few less traditional methods that you can use to cope, and like I said at the beginning, also talking a bit more about what different mental conditions entail, what it's like to live with them. As usual, if you have any questions or comments or any stories that you'd like us to talk about, you can either comment here, or if you'd like, you can send an anonymous email to azaleamentalhealth@gmail.com. I also just want to ask everybody a little favor. We're still a really budding community and trying to still work on getting our name out there. But the other admins and I have really, really great dreams as to what this group could mean for mothers all across Canada. If you're comfortable, please share our link with any family or friends, any moms really, who you think could benefit from this group. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great week.